What's the most uncomfortable question you can ask someone? At a job interview, do I have to do a drug test? You do now. I actually asked this question once and I was told if we tested everybody we wouldn't have enough employees. LMAO. Where's my hug? Lol, this gives me some flashbacks. After work on a Friday I was saying goodbye to one of my friends and I gave her a hug. Here comes Brett, hey, where's my hug? So I give him the biggest bear hug. The kind that traps their arms at their sides. And picked him up off the ground. There's your hug, Brett. My friend said he didn't ask much after that. But you bet your balls I'd tell Brett, hey Brett, I got your hug right here buddy, with outstretched arms. He would give me an uncomfortable look like, you gross. Yeah Brett, that's how you are making everyone feel. As a woman I very much appreciate this response. I asked my then boyfriend this question when I was 19. He immediately looked shocked, looked over to the side, said, "Oh, there it is," went over and hugged the air, then came back and hugged me. This is going to be particularly hard to do with my imaginary girlfriend. How come I wasn't invited? I was once invited to a party at the end of which the hostess asked me, "How do you keep finding out about these?" That effing stung. Never talked to them again. That's so mean. I would just say UHH I was invited. Bruh, I got a "what are you doing here?" from two guests at a party that was at my own house. Granted I didn't throw the party, but it def sucks seeing two friends from class show up at your sister's party, not realizing it's your house and them being surprised and irritated that I was there. One time my entire class planned a movie outing and told me the wrong movie theater so I wouldn't come. There I was, 12 years old, left to watch a movie by myself knowing everyone in my class hated me. It was a rough time. This broke my heart reading this. I hope those kids are grown-ups now that feel deep shame and remorse when they remember what they did to you. I did this sorta unintentionally in college. A work school acquaintance was having a birthday party that night and I invited myself over because I was a college freshman and I didn't want to be left out of any parties. Turns out it was a more private affair with maybe 10 people. I felt awful about it, but she was just too nice to tell me no. I cringed so freaking hard. Yep. I did this at age 20. My mother had a full-blown wedding. I lived with her at the time. Everyone knew she was getting married except me, the one person who did everything for her, aside from my stepdad. I literally paid more than half the bills to that house when I lived with her. My 5 other siblings knew. Even the dog knew. He was in a flying suit. I literally came out of my bedroom in my work uniform and saw my mother leaving in a wedding dress and a ton of family members all dressed in formal attire. Her excuse was because you're always working. This just made me emotional and angry all over again. F that. Last summer I got sent a picture of what looked to be a bunch of chairs set up outside from one of my really good college friends, with the caption, "When are you getting here? Can't wait to see you." I had no idea what she was talking about so I said, "Where are you?" She replied with, "What are you talking about? I'm at Becca's wedding." Becca was like my closest friend for years and I had no idea she was getting married. That chefing stung for me, and that doesn't even compare to this. Dog didn't even tell you. What kind of best friend is he? Also F your mom. Oh that is the harshest thing I've ever heard. So sorry. Made me emotional and angry too. For extra cringe, ask this in a loud voice as you crash an ongoing party that you were not invited to. Bonus points if you start hyperventilate crying. When I was like 11 I actually did this. I had no idea why I wasn't invited and I convinced my parents that I was. I got dropped off and actually started crying midway through because I was just wondering why I wasn't invited. I was not a good 11-year-old. Why is she here? Point at dog. In high school, this one kid in my circle of friends had a party and literally invited every other person we were friends with. But he didn't like me so I wasn't invited. It was a beautiful Friday night in the springtime. And it was perfect weather to go out and do stuff. But I had nobody to hang out with because they were all there. On Monday, I straight up asked him, "Hey, if you're not going to invite me to something next time, can you at least leave me someone to hang out with?" I don't know how that made me look, but at that point I didn't care. I once called my mom to chat, and when I asked what she was up to, she said that my brother was over, making dinner for my sister for her birthday. I was slightly stung that I wasn't included, but I figured that they were keeping it small, just my brother, sister, and parents. It gradually came out that our 2 other siblings were there, and my nephews, and my nephew's girlfriend. But at no point did my mom suggest that I should come over too. So I sat in my apartment alone and watched Friends. The weird thing is, I don't have a bad relationship with my family. They usually include me in things. I don't have much in common with most of them. They're cool and I'm pretty dorky. They're into guns and I'm not. But we get along and are fond of each other. Hey, can we have a talk about your search history? Why don't you have any children? I was a chronic miscarrier. My son is a super duper miracle. Do you have a sister by chance? Would you settle for a brother? Would you settle for me? Have you seen our toothbrush? Why are you so quiet? Me. Starts speaking. Gets interrupted repeatedly. Why are you so quiet? This makes my blood boil. I'm a fairly quiet person in social settings and have received this question a few times. It makes you and the people around you feel awkward. Like, let people be quiet if they want to be. Not everyone is a social butterfly. I get anxious easily, even around my own family since they get pretty loud. My ex's family was also loud and always asked me why I was quiet, especially his one aunt that went so far as to tell me I didn't belong in their family. Mind you, I only met them a handful of times so I didn't know them well. I responded with I guess I don't belong in mine either then. Cue her surprised Pikachu face and us walking out. I was kind of proud of that haha. Once, back in college, when meeting my then girlfriend's parents for the first time, her dad greets me with a handshake. Nothing odd about that at all. Then, in mid-shake he says, "So you're the guy effing my daughter?" I was genuinely rendered speechless. I'm a firm believer in equal partnership, so to be fair, sir, your daughter and I are effing each other. Doctor, in front of parents, are you sexually active? Now that's when you start bragging haha. Your dad fist bumps you when your mom isn't looking. I only do anal. What kind of debt are you in? The mafia are currently fighting a turf war over the collection of said debt. It's made me pretty popular. I'm not sure if it counts, but if someone asks you, hey, can you move over a seat so I can be next to my friend? Especially if you thought the person asking you was your friend. Along the same lines, when at parties with friends I was always asked to take pictures of people but no one ever asked to be in a pic with me. It's done. Okay, I have this issue. Friends always post pictures on Instagram at football games, parties, etc, so I know they take pictures. But whenever I'm with them no one ever offers to take pictures with me, and so I feel like I have to force people to begrudgingly take pictures with me, and usually I suggest we get a picture and people act like they forget, or hey, can I move to go sit next to my friends? That sucks. Why does no one love me? Well, have you tried paying them with my kindness? Why does everyone hate you so much? I hate this one so much. I lived in a small town so everybody knew everybody. High school was rough. I didn't know how to stick up for myself and soon became the scapegoat for bullies and rumors. Once our senior year hit, people matured a little and started being nicer to me. I made a lot of friends suddenly and all of them would ask, why does everybody hate you? You're not like they say. It was awkward because most of those people were the ones contributing to the rumors bullying. I don't know. Why did you? Gods, I wish I could go back in time and ask a few people that. Weren't you pregnant? I ran into someone I hadn't seen since she was pregnant. Me. How's being a mom? Oh, I'm not. I miscarried a few months ago shortly after telling everyone and now it's an awkward conversation every time I see someone who knew when I'm out drinking. Are we still friends? Or, who's your best friend? Especially when one of your friends asks it. I've got to know. I once had a stranger tell me I saw that, and I was like, saw what? You were checking out that girl? I honestly had no clue what he was talking about because I seriously wasn't checking out anyone, but he kept insisting that I was and that I should stop denying it. The dude was like 40. What the F was his problem? Effing embarrassing, man. You don't have to lie. Why are you getting mad? Only guilty people get defensive. That is not correct. I'm getting pissed because you're accusing me of something I didn't do. UF. That's exactly what he said. He was like, dude, it's okay. It's normal. Nothing to be ashamed about. I was confused AF. What color underwear are you wearing right now? Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat chuckles. Why is that clown following you? He's my boyfriend. Did you bathe properly today? This is a conversation I had to have with a coworker once. His smell was very distracting for everyone in the office. Guy's wife had died and he just sort of stopped taking care of himself afterward. A couple of us got him set up with a therapist. He left the company shortly after for a less stressful job, but I saw on FB a while later the guy is doing much better. Good to hear he is doing good now. If you come in the back office with me right now, just you and me, are you gonna be cool about it, or be a snitch? Asked by my old boss at a grocery store. He just was offering me shots of Fireball because it was almost closing time on New Year's Eve, but that phrasing sounded kinda fishy. Sounded super fishy. Damn, I thought he was gonna ask you to let him suck your dick. Are you uncomfortable? If they say no, then you should reply with, do you want me to make you uncomfortable while unbuckling your belt? On a scale of 1-10, how pretty do you think you are? It's bad because if you give yourself a high score they'll assume that you're egotistical, and if you give yourself a low score they'll either assume that you're insecure or that you're fishing for compliments. Everyone always answers this with 7. I say 7 if the person asking is hot, 6 if they're not. I'm a 6 in case you're curious. Can you tell me something about yourself? If it's not in a professional setting, my go-to is I have 3 nipples. Depending on their response, it's either a great conversation starter to break the ice, or we wouldn't get along well anyway. Yep. Hey, we need to talk. This is the worst, especially over text. My boss texted me the other day, call me. My blood turned to ice. Of course it ended up being some inconsequential thing he had a question about. I hate when they don't give a reason, and I learned the hard way. My roommate sent me that call me text while I was at work. Usually, it meant he got good weed, so I just ignored it. Came home at 2 AM to find my dog wrapped in bandages with a cone on his neck. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? This is why I hate interviews. I don't even see myself doing anything in an hour and they think I have 5 years planned already. WTF. Say, I see myself with your job. Total Mad Lib move. The same place I see myself now mirrors. What do you think of me? Whenever someone says this to me I'm always so puzzled and awkward about the whole thing. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say? Well, there's the divide. Many people ask the question more implying tell me something that will make me feel you're sincere, but will flatter me vs tell me what you literally think. People like to be valued but not measured, seen but not observed, heard but not scrutinized, understood in the moment but not understood in totality. The former makes them feel significant, the latter reduced. I saw an old high school acquaintance at a club once. She had always been super skinny in HS, but this night she had a very pronounced belly. I assumed since she had always been skinny and only had grown in her belly that she was pregnant. She was not. As a male I operate under a policy that the only time that you can ask a woman if she's pregnant is if she is in active labor and the baby is crowning. And even then you must exclaim surprise that you had no idea. That is a really excellent policy. The one time I asked, it was so effing obvious that she was pregnant, skinny all over, huge pregnancy belly, but she wasn't. Chicks get beer bellies to lol. Melia nurse here. I'm always asking embarrassing questions to the female patients, especially if they're young. Are you currently sexually active? Do you have any STDs? Was asked by the charge nurse to discharge a 16-year female patient for vaginal discharge and to tell her how to clean medicate herself. I told her no. Do you really want a guy to tell a young girl how to clean herself and to not have sex for 3 months while on meds? She agreed and did it herself. I'm not sure which I'd hate more, being a male nurse asking a girl if she's sexually actively or being a male patient being asked if I'm sexually active by a female nurse. On a somewhat funny tangent, I had to take Accutane in freshman year of high school. First question, have you impregnated someone while on this medication? No. Second question, have you become pregnant while on this medication? No. For context, asking a 15-year-old male who doesn't even want to talk to anyone if they've had sex is a surefire way to make them want to compress into a singularity just to avoid talking to anyone. Do you think your friends ever regret meeting you? Not generally, no. Friendship is largely optional on their part. Tell me about yourself. Windows has decided to shut down. I have a problem where whenever anyone asks me my favorite book, movie, band, etc. I cannot think of a single thing I've ever seen or heard. Same goes for if, and it would be a rare occasion anyway, I was to do karaoke. I had to save a list of songs that I actually know in my phone notes so I don't just flip through the songbook in increasing anxiety. Is it in yet? I was starting an IV on a patient. She said something like, I was going to ask you if it was in yet. I didn't even feel it. I wanted to say something like normally this is the worst thing for a man to hear so bad. But yeah, no professionalism. You'll feel a little prick. And on pregnant women, how far along she is. This happened to a friend I used to work with. Both she and I had both gained a decent amount of weight from eating out too often and a high stress job. However, she was married and I was single. We were both getting coffee in the kitchen when another coworker came up and congratulated her on her pregnancy, completely innocently. My friend awkwardly laughed it off and said she wasn't pregnant. As soon as the coworker left, she burst into tears. She went home early that day. That single question changed what she ate in front of others and how she dressed at work for the rest of the time we worked together. If you are good friends, they will tell you they are pregnant when they are ready. If you're not good friends, you should never ask. Really, the potential to hurt someone is way bigger than the benefit, which is usually just making conversation. This goes double for the workplace. Or the answer is even worse than no. Yes, I'm pregnant, but it's growing without a brain, so I have a D&D scheduled for next month. Thanks for asking. Ding ding. I have 2 Sarahs at my work. I heard one was pregnant. I congratulated the fatter woman who was just fat. Oh no, there's a girl that goes to my gym. We interact a bit. I noticed that she looked pregnant but was too scared to ask, but it seemed not nice to inquire. I finally got up the courage to ask and she laughed and said yes. She laughed even more when she saw the relief on my face. You have to be subtle about it if you aren't sure. So when are you expecting? Oh, I'm not pregnant. This coronavirus thing to die down? Crazy times, huh? When are you going to get married, have kids? To the gay couple. Which one of you is the girl, boy? Actually, we're both the boy. It makes being in a lesbian relationship rather confusing. When 2 gay men have sex, how do they know whose penis will open up to accept the other person's penis? Neither of us Nancy. That's kind of the point. Depends on the person. For a lot of women, it's so when are you guys going to have a baby? I literally had to tell my mill that we're trying and that we haven't used protection for some time now. Embarrassed her enough to back off the topic forever. She's very old school. I've been ejaculating massive loads of semen into your daughter's vagina for several months now. The way to combat an awkward question is to provide an even more awkward answer. Best of luck to you too. By the way, I thought the go-to reply was we're having too much fun practicing. I miscarried a week before my brother and his wife had their second child. A month after the birth, they invited both families over for a BBQ and to meet our newest family member. I'm holding my niece and my brother's mill asked when my husband and I were going to have a baby. We'd been trying for over a year. No one knew our loss apart from myself, husband and my parents. I played it off and then excused myself. So, yeah, don't ask people if and when they're having children. We know that joy too. We've given up after 5 miscarriages. Usually when people ask about why we don't have kids, we drop that little gem with as deadpan a face as we can manage, and then watch as they try to crawl up their own asshole backtracking. After my 3rd miscarriage, I had a woman that I barely knew put her hand on my slightly bloated abdomen and ask when the miracle was expected. I burst into tears in front of my class of freshmen while in the media center. Humiliating and hurtful. The memory pops up every time I go into a school media center. I'm an English teacher. I was telling someone about some good news I had recently gotten and they said congratulations, but someone overheard only the last bit and immediately jumped to wait. Are you pregnant? In front of a bunch of other people. Never ask someone if they are pregnant. Wait until they tell you. Otherwise you could make things super awkward if they are pregnant but they are not ready to tell anyone. They are trying but haven't been successful yet, etc. No. Where are you actually from? West Philadelphia, born and raised. Ugh. I had this asked to me when I visited Wisconsin for a wedding. I am Asian and when I said I'm from California they asked me that exact question. I just stared at them without responding, shook my head, and walked away. Not like I'm going to see that random airport stranger again. Why do you have cut marks on your arm? Cat got me. That cat makes some surprisingly parallel scratches. Can we become best friends after meeting for 3 days? Why do people do that? People do that? Have you ever considered plastic surgery? That's just insulting. Just have a casual conversation about anything. Corona, politics, grandparents, and ask immediately afterwards, anyway, how's your sex life? The room has taught me a lot about life. Haha, what a story, Mark. Oh hi. Do you love me? Well, apparently it's taboo to talk about how much money you make or anything about your financial situation, unless you're really rich. So that seems to make people pretty uncomfortable, in the US at least. Honestly, I don't get this. I'm super open about my financial situation. Granted, it's pretty easy to explain. Same. I currently make zero monies as a student.